Evening, and welcome to the May 15th regular council meeting. I see that all of our council members are present and many members of our administration and our two youth council members are also here. We acknowledge that this land is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of the First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi peoples, and of the Huron-Wyandot peoples. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and of all the original peoples of Turtle Island who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial. Please stand for the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Congratulations on a milestone achievement to Al and Joan Zikowski for their 50th wedding anniversary. I'd like to go to Director Malin Drucolo for a closed meeting report from May 8th.
Thank you, Mary Bondi. And through you, I can report that council met in closed session on May 8, 2023 at 4 p.m. to receive education and training pursuant to section 239 sub 3.1 of the Municipal Act as amended. At this meeting, council received education and training regarding the standard of care for safe drinking water, and that is the extent of my report.
That I will need a mover for the published agenda, and it will be amended to include a notice of motion brought forward tonight by myself and two new items to be under new business. One is the motion on healthcare and another one by Councillor McGuire Blaze on the Arthur Gosfield Maidstone corner. So looking for a mover for that, Deputy Mayor Shepley, supported by Councillor Verbeek. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Looking for a mover for the regular council meeting minutes for May 1st. Councillor Mady, supported by Councillor Guerin. Any questions on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried unanimously. 7.2 special council meeting minutes for May 1st, 2023 from the Essex Windsor Solid Waste Authority. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Allard and Councillor Mady. Any questions on those? Seeing none, all in favor, and that is carried. We have no public presentations tonight, and there is no unfinished business. We will go to our reports from administration. 10.1 Recreation and Culture 2023-01 Life Saving Society Affiliate Recreation Awards, and we'll go to Miss Cynthia Cakebread, our Manager of Recreational and Culture. And welcome to our community services staff.
Mayor Bondi and Council, we're just again very excited to have this back in our hands. We're always a little surprised when we provide that level of service and number of courses in comparison to our neighboring communities, and other communities are of the same size and bigger than us, sometimes a lot bigger. So we're excited again this year to have it.
Mayor Bondi, I may put Manager Cakebread on the spot, but since we have a lot of new counselors and for the public, I know it's in the report, but maybe explain what the awards are for and how significant they are for a municipality our size.
For you, They are for the largest leadership program. So that would be related to lifeguard courses, bronze medallion leadership, standard first aid programming. And then the Our Bread and that's a Scarborough Cup. The Our Bread and Staples is the largest life-saving program, which is more instructional level programs, and it's a per capita. So we're actually in a competition with every single municipality in Ontario and all affiliates. And I think right now there are close to 800 or more affiliates in Ontario. And we are, I think I found top 30 or top 35 in the entire province out of 800 affiliates that are using the Life Saving Societies program. They are considered the nation's experts in delivery of leadership and life saving. So for us to be recognized under their system provincially is quite good, considering that Ontario also runs the largest program in Canada. I think we did a factor that we were probably one of the largest per capita training centers in Canada as well.
Is fantastic. Any questions from members of council? We will look at moving the recommendation that Recreation and Culture Report entitled Life Saving Society Affiliate Recreation Awards prepared by Cynthia Cakebread, Manager of Recreation and Culture, be received for public and council information. Councillor McGuire Blaze, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. And I think we're going to take a little picture, right? Okay. Yeah, let's see. I don't know. How does it look with that in front? Okay. Yeah, come in back here. Yeah.
Do the whole like.
Takes a professional here.
Lauren can get in. She's taken a while, right? On the path to being LA.
Congratulations. 10.2 Recreation and Culture. June is Recreation and Parks Month. We will go, we'll have a mover and a seconder, and then we will let Mrs. Cakebread, Deputy Mayor Shepley, supported by Councillor Allard, and we'll head over to you, Cynthia, again.
This is an annual event that we've been doing for the past 15 or so years, where we try and populate different ideas for people to get out and get active. I believe that in your council minutes, there's a calendar of different events that we'll be hosting, as well as a number of different suggestions on how to keep active in the month of June. June is Recreation Month is a nationally recognized program, and we use it under Parks and Rec Ontario for guidance on different activities that can come forward. We do a lot of programming and offer free, mostly for the sake of trying to get people to come out and try things for the first time, and hopefully they like it. A good example of a popular program that we've had success with doing this was our Spin Aqua Fit program that we began offering single pop-ins, and we now have to start taking calls in the morning to reserve spots because of how popular it's become. So we note that there's a lot of positive feedback from the community, and as well a lot of positive interactions, people coming in and using our facilities or going to facilities that they may not have seen previously or even known about. So that postcard that is included in your council package is also going to be individually mailed to every household in Essex. So
Morissette.
Thank you, Mayor Bonnie. And just one highlight to point out is on June 14th, there will be a walk with the mayor at the Partissa Park Trail in Harrow as well. So check out that on your calendars.
I'm looking forward to that. So we will go to our Director of Legislative Services now, and he will read the proclamation.
Whereas in the town of Essex, we are fortunate to have a variety of recreation and park systems providing countless recreational opportunities for residents and visitors from around the world. And whereas recreation enhances quality of life, balanced living, and lifelong learning, helps people live happier and longer, develops skills and positive self-image in children and youth, develops creativity, and builds healthy bodies and positive lifestyles. And whereas recreational participation builds family unity and social capital, strengthens volunteer and community development, enhances social interaction, creates community pride and vitality, and promotes sensitivity and understanding to cultural diversity. And whereas parks, open space, and trails provide active and passive outdoor recreation opportunities, help maintain clean air and water, and promote stewardship of the natural environment. And whereas recreation, therapeutic recreation, and leisure education are essential to the rehabilitation of individuals who have become ill or disabled or disadvantaged, or who have demonstrated antisocial behavior. And whereas the benefits provided by recreation programs, services and parks, and open space reduce healthcare and social service costs, serve to boost the economy, economic renewal, and sustainability, enhance property values, attract new business, and increase tourism and curb employee absenteeism. And whereas all levels of government, the voluntary sector, and private enterprise throughout the province participate in the planning, development, and operation of recreation and parks program, services, and facilities.
Any questions or comments from members of council before we finish off the proclamation? Okay, we are to vote on the proclamation, then I'll read the final total. All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Therefore, I, Mayor Sherry Bondi, in recognition of all the benefits and values of recreation and parks, do hereby designate the month of June as Recreation and Parks Month in the town of Essex. Thank you. And thank you for that calendar of events. 10.3, Capital Works and Asset Management, 2023-06, Jackson Street Improvements Recommendations. And here we will go to Mr. Macbeth, our Manager of Capital Works and Asset Management. Welcome, David.
Bondi. Through you, so initiated by council in 2021 as part of budget deliberations, funding in the amount of $20,000 was directed for a traffic study to address parking capacity issue around the Colchester Beach and Harbor and Jackson Park on Jackson Street in Colchester. In 2022, RC Spencer and Associates, a local and respected engineering consulting firm, was hired to conduct a traffic study, impact study on Jackson Street in Colchester, and they studied the existing traffic volumes in the area. They redistributed existing traffic volumes of the affected area intersections and the operational changes to convert Jackson Street to a one-way road. The traffic data was collected on Saturday on a Canada Day weekend. So it was a holiday weekend in the summer, which was a mostly sunny day with a high of 28 degrees Celsius. So it was a very nice day. Through their analysis, they proposed changes. They proposed to change to a one-way street with that it would not adversely impact area traffic operations. So based on their report, administration prepared two options for council's direction. Option one would be to change Jackson Street to a one-way from Murdoch to Sullivan, and this would create up to 23 parking spaces with the only expense for traffic signage and line painting. And if the area is changed to a one-way street, we're also recommending that to change the speed limit to 40 kilometers an hour and make Jackson Street a community safety zone. Option two is essentially the same as option one, but we'd extend the one-way street to go down Sullivan Street from Jackson to Sydenham. This could create an additional 14 parking spaces on Sullivan Street, with once again, the only expense being for traffic signage and line painting. If the area is changed to a one-way street, administration would also recommend that this is changed to a community safety zone and change the speed limit to 40 kilometers an hour as well. The only downside to option two would be that any boaters that are parking in the two lots at the top of the hill would be required to drive around the block to get back down to the boat ramp, as there's currently no direct access. And so based on this, administration recommended option one. So the approximate cost for line painting and signs for that option is $5,000. And we're recommending, if it is approved, that the funding come out of the remaining budget from the traffic impact study, which currently stands at $12,368.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments from members of council? Deputy Mayor Shepley.
Mayor. I looked at this a few times and we spoke earlier as well. My concern is the boats coming up from the dock. If they're traveling the one way down towards the dock to drop a boat off, the boats coming up would have to swing wide to make a right turn there. And I really think that that's asking a lot of the boaters on the way out. I think it'd be better if you're gonna do this, preferably, in my opinion, if we were gonna do it, we would definitely have to change the direction and do a one-way from Sydenham down the other direction so that the boaters could still, as they're coming out, go straight out to the road. There's no wide swinging at all, and it would be better for them. And as well, when they're coming in, they're already set up for that wide turn going down to the water. So I think that would help them as well. That was just one of my thoughts and concerns on it, and it would allow the boats to, when they park, to be able to get right back down to the water. They'd still have to travel around though to park their trailer into the parking lot though. So that was just one of the thoughts I had and when I read the report.
Councillor Hammond.
Your worship, also, I was wondering, I don't know, like the road allowance there or anything, would it be impossible to put angle parking on the other side of the road rather than the parallel that was indicated in Proposition 1?
So it is a standard right of way. It's 66 feet or 20 meters. I think when we did do this study, we wanted to reduce the impact to that neighborhood as much as possible. Having vehicles, angle park or encroach in front of those properties, may not be, accepted very widely by that neighborhood. So we did only assess putting parking within the road allowance, or within the roadway, I should say.
Right now.
Basically, it's not out of the question, is what he said.
Through the mayor, no, I mean, any orientation could be assessed. I would recommend that if you did want to make a change from what's being presented tonight, that, council as a whole give administration direction to look at those options, and we can certainly report back if that was something council wanted to do.
Other comments or Councillor Allard?
Just a question on pedestrian walking. That narrow roadway, if you have parking on both sides, angled on one side and parallel on the other side, you leave no room for walking people. They want to get to the sidewalk, which is on the other side of the fence. They still walk down the roadway.
Through the mayor, yeah, that would be correct. They would walk along the boulevard, so the town's boulevard. So if they were parked on the road as proposed, they could walk along the grass or cross the street where possible to the sidewalk within the park. If council wanted to look at the installation of a sidewalk in the future, we're not recommending it at this time, but if you wanted to look at the installation of a sidewalk down Jackson Street in the future, it could be assessed as well, but would have to come as a future budget request.
Further comments, questions from council? Councillor Mady?
You, Madam Mayor. I was trying to digest the report Saturday and Sunday. I guess we didn't get the amendment until a little bit later in the weekend there. And there's just a lot of things in the report that I was having some trouble understanding. So I guess first, right now on that side of Jackson Street, is parking allowed or not?
No restriction in parking on Jackson Street currently, other than the area where the angle parking is.
Thank you. So they're already allowed to park there. We're saying we're going to add parking spots. I don't understand. I didn't understand that. If they're already allowed to park there, how are we adding parking spots?
Through the mayor, so parking on the road would allow people to park there at any time. But some people are more inclined to, when they drive past a grassed area, to not park on the grassed area. Whereas, if they were designated parking spaces, it would bring more parking to the area.
Okay, sure. Counselor McGuire, Blaze.
Thank you through the chair. Have we, Director Gerard, whoever wants to answer, sorry, have we looked at not closing Jackson Street, not closing, but making Jackson Street one way, but making Sydenham and Bagot Street alternating one-way roads? This way it would allow our boat traffic to not have to make that wide right-hand turn that Deputy Mayor Shepley was talking about, because that has been a concern, and I do see that as a concern for people who are going to the marina. But if we kept Jackson Street as a two-way, we already have parking there, but then we created Sydenham Street a one-way and Bagot the opposite way with parking on either side. I mean, Bagot is 2 blocks away from the beach, but people are going to use it. They're probably already using it now. So I just think that would add even additional parking and more than what you proposed. And it would keep Jackson Street open for those long trailers coming in and out of the marina. Has that been thought about?
Mayor, no, when council actually was, as David had mentioned, council was the one who actually initiated this project. The direction from council was to look at Jackson Street as a potential one-way. So we did do that. As Dave mentioned, there is some additional funding or some funding remaining in that capital budget. So if council wanted us to look at expanding the traffic impact study beyond Jackson Street, there is the potential to use that funding. We would just need direction from council.
Thank you to the mayor, to administration. So the option 1 has just a one-way on Jackson, and Sullivan will remain the same way it is. So if I'm coming up Sullivan to Jackson, I can't turn up Jackson Street. So the only way to get back out of there, I'd have to go down to the harbor, turn around and do like a UE type of thing. If I'm reading this the way I'm reading it.
Through the mayor, that's correct. Or you would have to turn around within parking lots that are at the top of the hill.
Further than that, I'm just wondering, does that cause any, I mean, I'm not sure how many cars go down that harbor way now. I mean, I'm sure people do drive through and do that turnaround, but I don't think it'd be all the cars. Where in this case, would it be adding more maybe congestion to that corner? Has, you know, when I think about pedestrians walking down to and from the beach or wherever they're going, just wondering if it's going to be a little bit of a mess. Maybe in the short term it would be, and in the long term was same people going down there. They might realize that you have to do that and they can't go that way, but I'm a little concerned about that. And I'm wondering if we're trying to solve with this option 1 or 2, an issue that is really a summertime issue and on holidays and maybe nice weekends and stuff, as opposed to 5 days a week throughout the year where there's really not much going down there. We have a need for parking down there. I just don't know if either one of these options are the end all be all.
Member Beek.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm all for, you know, gathering some more information and looking at some other options. But, you know, a little later tonight, we're going to approve closing Sydenham at least 5 times for special events this summer. And that's not unique to this summer. So we're going to look at that many times throughout the years in the future. So we have to take that into mind when we're looking at our ultimate fix, you know.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that when one's a one-way street and we close another one, we're gonna be pushing a lot of traffic even further down. In the report, the next kind of question that I had, I didn't fully understand, was the level of service on the corners. So right now on Jackson Street, the level of service was a B in both directions, northbound and southbound. And on Sydenham Street, it was a level A. When we make this change, we're going to change the northbound traffic on Sydenham to a level B. So does that mean we're just making Sydenham a worse corner now instead of just having the one corner Jackson being bad?
Through the mayor. So I mean, changing the level of service on those intersections doesn't necessarily mean that you're degrading the quality of that intersection. They're still both very safe options. They're both very feasible options. That is something that our traffic engineer does have to assess as part of any traffic impact study. So looking at the level of service and how it'll perform. But they are very acceptable levels of service for those intersections.
Thank you, and to you, Madam Mayor. So in that study too, it also talked about Sullivan Street and speeding, and that if we were to go ahead with this, it's their recommendation that we do a speeding study on Sullivan too. Is there plans in this to have that done?
Yes, so like we would do a traffic study afterwards as well, just to take a look at what the traffic impact was actually. As part of the report, though, we are recommending that the speed limit be reduced to 40 kilometers an hour. And a lot of that has to do with maneuvering and with parking and paying a little bit closer attention to those types of things. So we may see a little bit of speed diversion or dispersion from the change in speed limit if council were to go that direction. But it's something that we would consider as part of the traffic study if it was implemented. Yes.
You, Madam Mayor. It also talked about pedestrian. This is gonna be a two-part. So one of the parking lots that I mentioned in that report, parking lot F, is that the parking lot that we no longer have access to?
Need some time through the chair. Do you mind pointing out in the report which area you're speaking about? The air quote Katie parking lot. Yes.
To you again, Madam Mayor. So that parking lot in that report was, that day was like 200% overused at 40 spaces. And at best, I could see us adding like 2 spaces. I really don't see this as solving anything with our parking down there. It did also talk to traffic calming measures. Are we placing any other traffic calming measures in with this one way? Or is it just gonna be the signage and the one-way streets?
We are looking at potentially what size of the width of the laneway should be. That's really the only traffic calming measure that we're looking at now. So typically larger, wider lanes are higher speed lanes. Whereas if you restrict the lane, it'll slow people down. So we are looking to create that lane in accordance with the 40 kilometer an hour speed limit. So if council were to give direction to adjust the speed limit down to 40 kilometers an hour, we would look at the size of the lane that is proposed.
I think just my comments so far is McAfee Street heading into the park in Harrow is it was approved for a community safety zone. I think take out everything else we're doing. I think at the very least, this should be a community safety zone regardless of what we do. Like there's a park there, there's people going back and forth to the rec and other places. It's a really busy area with the yield. People don't always stop. They just sometimes go, right? Because it's a yield. So I'd like to see a community safety zone there no matter what, I think. Okay, looking for direction from members of council. There are motions in your agenda package, or we can make our own. Deputy Mayor Shepley.
Madam Mayor, I think at this time, I would like to see us table or put this off, postpone this till our next meeting. So we have a chance to maybe discuss some further options, even possibly changing the direction or look at some different things. Councillor Verbeek brought up a very good point about Nim Street being closed. I think there's more to dig into here than to just make this decision tonight. I think we need about 2 weeks or 3 weeks before our next meeting to decide on it.
Okay, that was a motion to postpone. Was that a seconder, Counselor Verbeek? Okay, so now I believe through Director Malandrucolo that we just discussed the purposes of the postponement.
Yeah, so there can be a discussion on the postponement. And so the motion on the table is that it be postponed till next meeting. And we have a mover and a seconder, so all in favor and all opposed.
Does-
So
They can speak to
discussion
it.
first.
Okay,
and
sure.
all in
Okay.
favor.
Any members of council want to speak to the postponement? Counselor Meady.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I like the idea of postponing it. I don't know if we should put a time limit on it though, but maybe give the direction for the reports on angle parking and the traffic calming and sidewalks. If we could direct to have those reports come back to us before we make a decision on this. Just be my thoughts to that.
Deputy Mayor Shepley, it's your motion, so I will go back to you for clarification. Did you want that as a friendly amendment until further information is brought back to council, or do you want it to come back next meeting?
I'll accept that friendly amendment.
Counselor Verbeek, is that okay with you? Okay, any further comments to the postponement? Counselor Verbeek?
So am I to understand that we're going to take this time to bring our suggestions and meet with administration on some of these suggestions? Because I'm hoping that at least, at the very least, the deputy mayor's what seems to be a pretty good solution could at least be fleshed out and looked at.
Mayor Bondi, from what I've heard tonight, I'd maybe recommend that council contact Director Gerard and Manager Macbeth to have further discussions. Because as Mr. Macbeth said, this report was based on the previous council direction, really looking at Jackson Street, right? Kind of hearing that may not be the case. And if we get the direction from this council, maybe we can extend where the parking options could be in the Colchester area. That may help as well too, right? We've always looked kind of where human nature as close as possible to the amenities. But if this council is willing us to look at some other options, maybe outside of Jackson, we can do that as well. And I think that could be feedback to our staff.
For council, the motion is to postpone until administration brings back further information in a new report or an amended report based on the feedback from council tonight and feedback that council will provide in the next couple week. Any further questions to that postponement motion? Seeing none, all in favor, Director Gerard?
Sorry to interrupt your voting process there. So I just want to have some clarification. So council tonight has not given direction to administration on specifics related to Jackson Street. So any future report that would come would be based on feedback that I would receive after this meeting, because I've only received individual comments. It'd be very difficult for me to generate a report based on individual comments here tonight. But if we can set meetings between this meeting and going forward, and I can bring a report for the future. If that's okay with the mover and seconder.
Okay. Seeing no further comments, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. 10.4, Community Service Special Event Notice, Harrow Kinsman Big Wiggle Fest. Looking for a mover that the Community Services report entitled Special Event Harrow Kinsman Big Wiggle Fest be received and that they receive a special occasion permit. Looking for a mover, Councillor Meady, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. Any questions? Oh, sorry, in the granting of a temporary noise bylaw exemption. Seeing no further questions or comments, all in favor? And that's carried unanimously. And it occurred to me that I've missed any declarations of conflicts of interest from members of council. Sorry, everybody. Okay. 10.5. Community Services 20, he told me 2023-14 special events notice Essex. I was just testing him. Essex Fun Fest Car Show road closure on July 8th Looking for a mover that council approve closing Fairview Ave between St. James Street and Talbot Street South and Essex Center between 10:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. for the Essex Fun Fest Car Show. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Counselor McGuire Blaze, supported by Counselor Allard. Any questions to that? Counselor Verbeek.
Through you, Madam Chair, and I guess to Counselor Guerin, Chair of the Fun Fest, I think we did discuss opening the road sooner because the Holy Name Church is Saturday Mass begins at 7, and that would be cutting it close. So we talked about shutting down the car show around 3 or so and opening the road an hour later. No? Thank you.
Aaron, and then Director Morissette.
Yeah, through the mayor. What time is the mass on that evening? 5. Yeah, so we did talk about doing that, ending at 4, having it cleared out for 5. That was my recollection.
That and then Counselor McGuire Blaze.
Through you, Mayor Bondi. So we put the maximum amount of time to allow for other areas potentially cleaned up so that we know for 100% certainty the road is going to be open by that time. We would certainly be reopening the road before that, but it's just for reporting purposes that we have that until 5 o'clock.
You, Director. Yeah, I know that the church is really extending theirself, allowing us to use the parking lot, and I don't want to mess up their mass times.
Take it to the mayor. Yeah, the car show will be done at 4. So that gives an hour to get it cleaned up. It should be okay.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from members of council? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. Community Services 10.6, Special Events Notice, Harrow Chamber Open Streets, June 30th and September 29th. Looking for a mover and a seconder that the Community Services report be received and that council approve a temporary noise exemption in accordance with bylaw 2038 from 4:30 to 8:30 on Friday, June 30th and Friday, September 29th to accommodate entertainment for the Harrow Chamber Open Streets, and that council approve closing King Street between Erie Street and Queen Street between 4:30 and 8:30 for the Harrow Chamber Open Streets. I need a mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor Mady, any questions? Councillor Allard.
Yeah, report there, it says Friday, the 30th and Friday, the 29th. Is that Thursday and Friday?
I believe it's 2 Friday nights.
Okay, yes, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't see September in there. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay. Any further comments or questions from members of council? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. Special Events Notice, Colchester Bar and Grill, Summer 2023. Looking for a mover that the Community Services report entitled Special Event Notice, Colchester Bar and Grill be received and that council approve closing Sydenham Street between Sullivan Street and County Road 50 in Colchester on May 28th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. for Ride for Dad. August 20th, 2023 from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. for Brian and Brianna Bike Run. August 27th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. for On a Mission for Downtown Mission. September 17th, 2023 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. for Shars Ride for MS. And September 24th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. for Windsor Essex Therapeutic Riding Association event. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Allard and Deputy Mayor Shepley. Any questions? Councillor McGuire Blaze.
Thank you through the chair. Can I ask, what do they close the road for? What is the purpose of closing the road?
All the motorcycle parking. Oh, yeah. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. 10.8 Community Services 2023-17 Special Events Notice, Town of Essex Soapbox Derby, June 24th. And we'll go to our Director Morissette here for a little update on this.
Thank you, Mayor Bondi. So this year, Community Services is working with the local Harrow Rotary Club to put on a soapbox derby. So essentially, we'd be looking to close down the streets to have some racing fun between some competitors in home-built cars. So there are specific regulations that they would have to follow, but everybody's welcome. And towards the end of the event, there will be the opportunity for people to try out racing if they were interested in doing so. So I do want to give a big shout out and a thank you to the Harrow Rotary for all the help that they do with our local events out there. And it's a great partner to have with them participating.
Any questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Maybe.
This does sound like some great family hometown fun, right? And I'm really looking forward to this one. The specifications for the cars to be built, where can people find that information?
So they could find the specifications by either sending myself an email, I can provide those to them, or they can contact the actual association that the town is working with. So it's called the Home Built Soapbox Racing Association. They do have a Facebook page, so they would be the best contact to contact directly. People are welcome to show up, but it's always a good idea to give them a heads up if they are looking to participate. So again, that is the Home Built Soapbox Racing Association. They are out of Chatham, Kent.
That was a good question. I'm wondering if we could get that on our website or something out there, so, or on our social media, so people can have advance notice. Okay, looking for a mover that council approve a temporary noise exemption in accordance to the noise bylaw, and that council approve closing King Street and Erie Street and Queen Street between Victoria Street from King Street to 18 Victoria Street North from 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. for the soapbox derby. Councillor Guerin. Moved by Councillor McGuire Blaze as well. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. Finance and Business Services 2023-04 Council Remuneration Recommended Actions. That Finance and Business Services report be received titled Council Remuneration dated May 15th received, and that council approve a 2023 market adjustment for council with a total financial cost of $60,144 to achieve the 60th percentile, and that council approve future council remuneration reviews to be included in the scope of the town's non-union salary review. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Shepley, supported by Councillor Hammond. Any questions? Councillor Guerin.
Thank you, through the mayor. So the next time this would come up again would be at the beginning of each term, or would it be at the discretion of administration or council today?
Mayor Bondi. So the non-union review is starting this fall, and it's every 4 years, so it'd stay with that cycle moving forward.
Further questions from members of council? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. 10.10, Economic Development 2023-08 Building Report and Development Overview, April 23. I need a mover that the Economic Development Report entitled Building Report and Development Overview prepared by Nelson Severa, Manager of Economic Development, dated May 15th, be received for information. Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor Verbeek, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. 10.11, Economic Development, Essex Tourism Events Fund Applications, Recommended Actions. That Economic Development Report entitled Essex Tourism Events Fund Applications, prepared by Nelson Silvera, Manager of Economic Development, dated May 15th. That council approved the distribution of $1,000 of funding to the Rotary Club of Harrow from the Essex Tourism Events Fund, and that council approved the distribution of $1,000 of the funding from the Rotary Club of Essex for the Essex Tourism Events Fund. Looking for a mover and a seconder for that. Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor McGuire Blaze, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. Reports from our youth members. Youth Member Smith.
Wednesday, May 10th marked the 29th annual McHappy Day in another record-breaking year. The Essex McDonald's raising $64,642 and all of Canada raising over $7.5 million. Colin, Mayor Sherry Bondi, and myself were all there volunteering and ended up starting a fun competition to see who could sell the most product. Thank you to everyone who donated and volunteered to help make this another successful year.
Youth Member Pine?
Thank you, Lauren. In addition to that, at Essex District High School, we were proud to host the Special Olympics for the full board. We had elementary students last Monday and secondary students last Friday. I myself was able to assist hosting two events, being shot put for secondary and standing long jump for elementary. And we were able to have Mayor Bondi come out on the Friday to mingle with our athletes and get some nice pictures of the amazing event. We also have seen that with the changing of the weather, youth have been utilizing our Essex tennis courts overwhelmingly, having great fun. So that's always good to see as well. Thank you.
I have a question. Who sold more socks? No, I'm just joking. You don't have to answer that. Yeah. Thank you for those reports from our youth members. County Council update, we will go to our Deputy Mayor Shepley for this report.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. On May 3rd, on May 3rd, Chief Crowder announced that his retirement was coming on February 29th. He allowed for a lengthy time so that we could help recruit and find his replacement. We also have a date for our new official plan meeting, which will be held virtually on Wednesday, June the 7th. This will be a Zoom meeting and should be posted on the county page for how to log in and be a participant. Also, we have some new policies that were put in place, and we will be returning in-person meetings at County Council starting this Wednesday, May 17th. And that's the County Council report. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, looking for a mover that the Essex County Council minutes be received. And we can have any questions if anybody has any questions as well. Looking for a mover to second, Councilor McGuire Blaze, Deputy Mayor Shepley. Any questions to the minute? Councilor McGuire Blaze?
Thank you through the chair. How come the County Council decided to host the their strategic plan meeting virtually instead of in person?
Shepley?
I don't know if I should thank you for that question or not. Through you, Madam Mayor. I believe it was due to there was a large capacity of group that showed up. It's the official plan meeting actually. And, we weren't able to house everybody. There were some angry members, and not to say they were right or wrong, but it just was, we weren't able to accommodate them there. And then overwhelmingly the vote came in that we were going to do it via Zoom, and that was, we have to support that decision.
Any further questions? Did we vote on that? No? Okay. Without any further questions, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. Correspondence 13.1, correspondence to be received. Looking for a mover and a seconder to list all of the correspondence in agenda 13.1. And then of course we can pull them out after if we want to. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Hammond, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Any members of council wish to pull out any particular correspondence? Deputy Mayor Shepley.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I don't necessarily want to pull any out. I just want to point out that I don't know if anybody noticed, but we sure did receive a lot of support on from the other municipalities here, and it's really nice to see.
Mayor, I agree. I think this is the most I've probably ever seen on one item. Any further comments or questions from members of council or anything else you want to pull out? Okay, correspondence to be received and supported. Essex Accessibility Advisory Committee, National Accessibility Week. We will go to Director Malandrucolo.
That correspondence from the Essex Accessibility Advisory Committee asking council to consider proclaiming May 28th to June 3rd, 2023 as National Accessibility Week in the town of Essex be received or received and supported. And if supported, that council proclaim May 28th to June 3, 2023 as National Accessibility Week in the town of Essex by adopting the following resolution. Whereas National Accessibility Week is a week for Canadians to promote inclusion and accessibility in our communities and workplaces, to celebrate our progress and to be inspired to further break down accessibility barriers. And whereas over 15% of Ontarians live with some form of disability, and as a result, there is need for greater awareness, enhanced service delivery, and opportunities for persons with disabilities. And whereas individuals with disabilities are impacted daily by barriers to information, facilities, employment, transportation, and communication supports, therefore negatively challenging an individual's ability to fully participate in community life. And whereas accessibility and inclusion are essential for ensuring that all community members have equity and opportunities and the ability to fully participate in community life. And whereas council reaffirm its commitment to becoming a barrier-free and accessible town.
Or we say the bottom, just looking for a mover and a seconder. Counselor Verbeek, Counselor Allard, all in favor. Now therefore, I, Mayor Bondi, on behalf of council, do hereby proclaim May 28th to June 3rd, 2023 as National Accessibility Week and encourage everyone to support equality of access and opportunity for persons with disabilities in the town of Essex. Any further comments from members of council on National Accessibility Week? I believe our accessibility committee just had a tour and hopefully we'll see some good photos on that week on our Facebook. 13.2.2 Arts, Culture and Tourism Committee. Resignation of Carol Perks from the Arts, Culture and Tourism Committee. With regret, need a mover and a seconder. That council direct administration to write a letter of appreciation to Carol Perks, thanking her for her commitment to the Arts, Culture and Tourism Committee. Counselor Allard, Counselor Hammond, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. We want to thank her. Committee meeting minutes. We need a mover and a seconder that the committee meeting minutes listed in agenda item 14, together with any recommendations to council noted therein, be received and approved and adopted as circulated. So there is one recommendation to council under the Arts, Culture and Tourism Committee to make note of. Need a mover and a seconder. Councilor McGuire Blaze, supported by Councilor Verbeek. Any questions to any of those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. Financial, there is nothing. And now under new business, it has been brought to my attention that Councilor McGuire Blaze has a new business motion that fits the criteria for minor and urgent. So we'll go to Councilor McGuire Blaze for her motion. And once we have a seconder, we will discuss.
Thank you through the chair. So I'm putting the motion today that administration investigate the options and report back to council regarding the safety options for pedestrian crossing at the intersection of Gosfield, Arthur, and Maidstone, which could include temporary stop signs or traffic signals. This is urgent due to the increase of traffic due to the closure of Talbot Street in the Essex Center streetscape. Our student safety has become an issue. It is minor, as we've already determined there is an issue with this intersection, and we are going to be redesigning it later this year. So we know this is an issue. We just need a temporary fix until construction is complete.
Looking for a seconder, Councilor Guerin, and comments to the motion. Councilor Guerin.
To the mayor, yeah, I support it too. I mean, we have to do something. I know it's going to be probably painful for some of the residents that live in the subdivisions and around there, detouring traffic through there. But I mean, I'm getting a lot of reports from not even near misses, but even some hits. So it's not so much the traffic backed up. It's just and I'm not sure how we're going to solve some of the driving habits of our people using our streets. But at least we need to look into it and get some options if there's any out there. We have to do some due diligence.
Deputy Mayor Shepley and then CAO Sweet.
I agree with Councilor Guerin. I've heard about this a lot and we kind of figured there was going to be a lot of extra traffic. It would have been nice to have this fixed beforehand, but we definitely need to have a look and see what we can do to try and help minimize this at this point. Thank you. I'll support it.
And just for the public and for council, administration currently and will continue to look at better ways for the safety of where the children's cross, especially during those peak times. So we're looking at additional signage. We're looking at even enhanced training with our crossing guards and different ways to enhance that area. We've met with our OPP, brought it up at the police service board as well. So although a report will come back and some, we're also actively looking at better ways to make that area safe as well.
Further questions for the motion? I also support the motion, and I'm hoping that this is one of the top priorities in our town right now. Councilor McGuire, please.
Thank you through the chair. I just want to talk to the public for a quick second and say, please take caution. We all understand that construction can be frustrating and you are trying to get to work and get to your places. So please just take caution. Know that there are pedestrians trying to cross the street. Take an extra 5 minutes in the morning so that way we don't have an incident where somebody is seriously hurt. And if anybody is interested in becoming a crossing guard, we are hiring. So please put your resume in, contact the town. It's 6 weeks left until the end of the school year. So we're really looking for some great people to come and help us get our kids safe to school. So thank you.
Any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, and at this time, I would like to bring my motion forward, so I will be passing the gavel to the deputy mayor.
Mayor Bondi.
So the deputy mayor, I've sent you my motion, and I would just, I just need your judgment whether it's minor and urgent.
Madam Mayor, or through me, I guess. I did forget to do that. I did read it and I do find it minor and.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So I would like to read this motion to council and see if there's appetite to have a seconder. That the Town of Essex Council hereby appeals to the province of Ontario to acknowledge that challenges faced by our local emergency response system and take decisive action to resolve gaps in our healthcare. While we recognize our situation is not unique, we believe that it is essential to draw attention to our persistent code red and code black conditions, which are primarily caused by insufficient numbers of hospital beds, medical personnel, and resources. Windsor-Essex County residents ought to have confidence that when they call 911, it will elicit a prompt ambulance response for emergency situations. Local healthcare providers are engaging various initiatives such as the paramedic offload program, offload to waiting room for assessment, and triage of less severe medical matters, diversion to another hospital for low acuity cases, and EMS paramedic patient navigator to monitor and manage dispatch. Nevertheless, these initiatives alone have been unable to curb the escalation of code red and code black frequency, signifying few or no ambulances available for emergencies, which happened again a few days ago. We were in code black. In 2021, Windsor-Essex experienced a cumulative of 3,253 minutes in code red and 791 minutes in code black. Then the increase in 2022 was, we had in code red, we had 8,886, where code black, we had 2,257. And as of March this year, just 3 months into the year, the community has clocked already almost 1,000 code red minutes and 2,200 code black minutes. While we implore authorities to apply immediate and comprehensive review of our hospital offload delays, staffing crisis in our front line, ambulance offload processes and hospital volumes are merely two contributing factors. If nothing tangible is done, local families will experience catastrophic consequences. Our former warden, Gary McNamara, declared an emergency on ambulance availability in October, and we are still in review of that. We require a holistic solution to address our hospital deficiencies and healthcare shortcomings on an underlying basis. In addition, the Town of Essex Council requests that the province of Ontario conduct a review of our projected population growth and aging in Windsor and increase healthcare capacity to match our future and current needs. Therefore, the Town of Essex Council requests that the province of Ontario recognize the dangerous strain facing our local emergency response infrastructure and urgently work to address gaps in our healthcare system. So, Chair, if I can get a seconder, I'd like to further speak on it.
I have a seconder, Councillor Verbeek. Mayor Bondi.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, since I've raised this motion, which came to me as I was driving to the agenda review on Thursday, I've had many people reach out to me, nurses that work in the States, saying that there's preferable working conditions across the border. Doctors saying that there's preferable working conditions across the border. And we just don't frankly have enough physical beds in Windsor, Essex County. We've lost hospitals. And I know we're getting the new mega hospital, which still isn't going to increase our capacity that much, but we need to, our region is expanding. We also have opiates, drugs in Windsor that are contributing to this problem for sure. And we have many baby boomers. So I don't believe our hospital capacity has grown to match our needs, along with many other things. Nurses recruitment, PSWs, EMS. It is a multifaceted problem. I don't think there's just one solution or just one easy fix, but I think that this needs review because it's not getting any better. It's been 2 years since we've been following the code reds and code blacks, and it's actually getting worse despite all of these other things that are being put on. So I know that local municipalities have lobbied through AMO and Roma, and the province is talking about it. I had a really good conversation with MPP Andrew Dowie a few nights ago saying, you know, what is it you need? He thought the problem frankly went away. After the former warden declared an emergency, they all met, they put in these little other policies and procedures, and he thought that it actually got better. But the report that we got May 3rd at Essex County, at the County of Essex, shows it hasn't got better. So until we take a holistic approach, and it could be, we need more mental health supports in Windsor, Essex County. We do have Brentwood, but maybe we need more mental health supports. We have an affordability crisis, which leaves people really stressed out, and you know, they're worried about putting a roof over their shoulder. So they're just turning to perhaps drugs or other avenues. But it's a multifaceted problem, and we need to let the province know that this is not going away, that when we call an ambulance, somebody comes. I did have somebody reach out to me from Hidden Creek in McGregor. One of their family members got in trouble because there wasn't an ambulance. So, and it could be one of our family members. So I'm seeking council support to send this letter to local municipalities, to the county, to Anthony Liardi, to Lisa Gretzky, to Doug Ford, to Andrew Dowie, to the leader of the opposition, Merritt Stiles, and to anybody else that would listen. And I'll take any friendly amendments that we want to throw in this, because if you do not have education and if you do not have healthcare, you really don't have anything, really. If you can't get those two right, then you're in trouble. And I know this healthcare is not a town of Essex issue, but it's up to us also to advocate. And at the county, we oversee EMS. We're trying to do everything we can there in terms of competitive wage packages and staff morale, but it could be one of our residents that doesn't make it to the hospital in time, and I don't want that to happen.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll just want to make a comment myself. I think it's a complicated problem, and it's a great motion, and you've done a lot of great work on this file, and I'm glad to see that you're bringing it forward and it's bringing the spotlight back on it, because it seems to be, I believe myself, up until we got working, you brought this out, that this was after the code black or the state of emergency, that we were kind of had solved it, but it's still there, and it's not going away anytime soon. So having said that, would you like to make a comment? Councillor Verbeek, go ahead.
Mayor, I just want to thank you, Madam Mayor, for bringing this motion forward. As soon as you sent it out to council to preview, I was grateful that we're going to try and kick this can down the road, because we've been aware of the problem, as has the province and the powers that be, for quite some time now, and we keep getting placated with words. And hopefully this will hold their feet to the fire and some action will start. The real hard work to investigate fixes. Thanks for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Councillor Verbeek. Seeing any other questions, Councillor Bond or Mayor Bondi, sorry, as the maker of the motion, you have the opportunity to speak last if you'd like to.
Chair, I think we just want, healthcare is a provincial problem right now, but I did have a Zoom meeting with the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Verbeek with Chatham-Kent officials. They are not experiencing the code blacks and the code reds like we are. I would say probably about 25%. And they're also not experiencing the hospital offload delays we are. I would say 25% or so as well. So I know it's a provincial issue, but it seems to be really, really an Essex County issue. So I don't think we need to send it to the whole province, but I think we send it to each local municipality here, each local MPP, even MP, we might as well let them know. MP, MPP locally, local municipalities, county, and if anybody has anything else. But that's what I would say. Council, oh, sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't see the harm in sending it out to all the municipalities. There could be other communities that are experiencing this.
Thank you, and to you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, Councillor Verbeek, you're right on the money. I would say let's send it to every municipality. Who knows, maybe they have extra resources they can help us with, but at the very least, if they're having the same problems, then there's other people that are having it too. That'd be great. Thanks.
Have you done one?
So the mayor bring her motion has asked for a recorded vote. So we'll start with you, Mayor Bondi. How do you vote? Mayor Bondi supports. We'll move to you, Deputy Mayor Shepley. How do you vote? Mayor Shepley supports. Moving to you, Councillor Verbeek. How do you vote?
Support.
Councillor Verbeek supports. Moving to you, Councillor Allard. How do you vote?
Support.
Councillor Allard supports. Moving to you, Councillor McGuire Blaze. How do you vote?
Support.
Councillor McGuire Blaze supports. To you, Councillor Mady. How do you vote?
Support.
Mady supports. To you, Councillor Hammond. How do you vote? Councillor Hammond supports. To you, Councillor Guerin. How do you vote?
Support.
Councillor Guerin supports. So the final vote is support, 8, none opposed.
Director Mondruco. And I'm going to turn this meeting back over to Mayor Bondi.
Council notices of motion. The following notice of motion was presented at the May 1st, 2023 regular council meeting and is being brought forward this evening for council's consideration.
Thank you, Mayor Bondi. This was moved by Councillor Hammond and we need a seconder that Greg Hiroki be recognized as a longtime promoter and organizer of the Colchester Walleye Derby by erecting a sign stating the home of professional walleye tour event winner Greg Hiroki on the entrance signs to Colchester Center.
By Councillor Hammond needing a seconder. Councillor Mady. Councillor Hammond, you wish to speak to your motion?
Through you, Mayor, yes. I'd like to request from council to support a person who's been an ambassador of Colchester for more than 40 years. Greg Horkey has been a police officer in the area for 38, beginning with Windsor, before Colchester South, then Harrow and Colchester South, and finally retiring from the Essex Police Force in 2006. In 1984, Greg established the first fishing charter operating out of Colchester, provided trips for fishermen looking to catch perch, walleye, and bass, most of them being tourists. In 1991, he joined the Professional Walleye Tour, and in 1994 became the first Canadian to win a Professional Walleye Tour event that took place in Lake Winnebago in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Part of being a tour winner is being a tour promoter. And while Greg participated in numerous boat, fishing, and trade shows promoting boats, tackles, and techniques, his favorite fishing hole to promote was always Colchester. Aside from promoting Greg with help from first the Lions Club, now the Rotary, they established the largest single-day derby in the country. This year marks the 31st running of the Colchester Derby to be held June 10th. This past weekend recently saw the third running of the now annual Colchester Shootout. This year's shootout saw an increase to 25% in boats, and next year's anticipated another 20 more for next May. The show features all the best fishermen in the tri-state area and beyond coming to compete against our best, many of whom have been mentored by Greg himself at some point in time. I'm looking forward to support and declaring Colchester not only as the walleye capital of the world, but also home of Greg Horkey, part-time professional tour winner. I also like to add an amendment I mentioned previously that to be put on the Colchester Center signs, but I would like a more permanent one put on the home of the capital, walleye capital of the world sign as well. Thank you.
There was an amendment made to the motion, so I just want to clarify your seconding of that. Okay. Questions or comments from members of council? We'll go to Deputy Mayor Shepley, then Councilor McGuire Blade.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple questions. What would the cost of this be? And is it something that maybe you'd be looking to, I don't know if we could use our discretionary fund for that, if that'd be something that he would have the option of doing?
Mayor Bondi, so the cost would be for the gateway signs approximately $115 per sign. Administration is working on a gateway sign policy, which is expected to come back to council for the June 5th meeting. So there would be essentially a policy for the gateway to give guidelines for administration on what type of requests would be permitted. So that will be presented at that time. In terms of the walleye sign, I don't know what sort of design plan. We haven't had any sort of preparation for that. So I can't give a cost estimation to that as it would have to be developed.
Oh, Director Drew Fitch.
Thank you, through the chair. It would not be permissible under the council discretionary fund.
Through you, Madam Mayor, would it be administration's advice then that we maybe wait on the gateway sign until after we have that established?
Through Mayor Bondi, it would be advised because then we can have consistency going forward as well. That whether this would or would not fit in the policy at this point, I can't say for sure. We'd have to do some additional research to see where it would lie within the policy. But that would be up to council's discretion if they would want to proceed or wait until the policy does come out.
As a question, through you, Madam Mayor, as a question to Councillor Hammond, if you'd be willing to have an amendment to take that part out until we have the policy in place.
What part was that?
Deputy Mayor Shepley, can you just define it a little bit more for?
The gateway, adding it to the gateway, if we would wait till after we have our gateway policy in place.
Yeah, just further on Mr. Morissette's observation, as far as the walleye capital of the world, that sign is already erected at the top of the hill. As far as putting another placard with Mr. Horkey's picture and byline on it, I don't see it being much more expensive than the gateway signs.
Thank you, through the chair. I'm just wondering if we should, not that I dislike the idea, just postpone it until we have a cost and a policy in place. And then once we have that, I'd feel more comfortable voting for this after we knew what kind of numbers we were looking at.
You, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to speak to Councillor Hammond. I saw your motion and I had no issues whatsoever. And then as you were presenting it, I was 100% prepared to support it. I'm a little hesitant now when we're going to be getting a brand new policy in place for our gateway signs coming before us. I'm wondering if we shouldn't we shouldn't pause it and wait till we get the new policy in place. That's my hesitancy.
Counselor Meady and then Counselor Garen, and we do have an option to postpone.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, if you're from Colchester, you know Greg Harkey. And when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Great. If we're going to be having a discussion of postponing it or not, with the amendment, then I would probably ask that if we're going to postpone it, then we come back with the gateway sign and we come back with the overhead sign, what they would look like for both spots, and a costing and everything with that. Because it does sound like now we're talking about two totally different things, right? One is our gateway signs coming into the center itself. One is the actual big erect and what a sign up there would look like. So if we're going to go with two of them, then I think we should get cost on both of them. Thank you.
Thank you, through the mayor. Yeah, so the gateway signs that go in each center, we have a policy coming for those, and those ones there are more of the temporary nature. So 50th this year for the S73s, they go on for a year, they come off for a year. So I think we need to wait on those, on those particular signs. But on the walleye sign, I'm not that familiar with it. Is it a town-owned sign? Who funded it? How did the town pay for it originally, or is it a service club? I think I need a little more information on that particular sign too, because if it may be a situation where we can resolve that one tonight.
Yeah, so it's a sign right at the top of the ramp leading down to the Colchester Harbor. So basically it says home of Colchester Harbor, and right below it, I think it's about 18 inches by maybe 6 feet. Walleye capital of Canada, I believe it says. So I think what Councillor Hammond is at that same sign, just go below that and do another signage there. So to your question, all the signage there has been purchased by the town and designed by the town in the past.
For the chair. So that particular sign, is that considered one of our gateway signs, or is that a whole different breed? Well, then we could probably deal with that tonight.
Personally think we should separate the two, and I really like the idea of recognizing Greg Corky going down to the harbor. To me, that's a no-brainer. He's been a staple of the community down there. And if we needed to fundraise, I'll collect beer bottles from the Big Wiggle Fest and the fishing derby, because I could collect some, we can fundraise a little bit for that too. So I'm not sure how you want to proceed, Councillor Hammond. Maybe we could, Councillor McGuire Blaze had kind of like thought a motion to postpone the gateway signs until the policy comes back. If we could separate it, maybe. Councillor Hammond?
The sign going down to the harbor would definitely be something I would suspect to be more permanent. Maybe we can address the issue of getting the proper fish posted on that sign, as opposed to the trout that's on it right now. Maybe we can get an actual walleye on it.
To postpone the gateway signs, and then we'll deal with the other one. Let's separate them. Councillor McGuire Blaze, motion to postpone the gateway section or specific part in Deputy Mayor Shepley. All in favor of postponing the gateway till the policy's back. Okay, now I'm looking for a new motion.
Make a motion that we honor Greg Horkey in a more permanent fashion by stating on our Colchester Walleye Capital of the World sign that we got, and make an addition of home to Greg Horkey, PWT winner.
Seconded by Councillor Verbeek. So now discussion to that motion. Councillor Garen.
Through the mayor, I could support that, but I'd like to know if administration, if there's any resources available for a sign of that nature, which I'm assuming would be likely under $500.
Director Morissette.
So yeah, we can certainly reach out tomorrow to some of our sign creators and see what we're looking at. But at this point, I mean, if council wants to move ahead, we would need a cost limitation We don't have costing to do the project, so we would have to know an upset limit. And I guess where it would be funded from, I'll let Director Jurusevich speak to that.
So this is an item that would classify under council contingency funds, the $25,000 kind of miscellaneous budget that council approves for themselves annually. And like Director Morissette stated, if council were to provide direction on an upset limit, we would just stay within that limit on the purchase of or acquisition of the signage.
Yeah, through the mayor. Yeah, I think it's all going to come down to size, design. So maybe council, I would say maybe up to $1,000.
Any further questions and comments from members of council on the motion? Councillor Meady?
You, Madam Chair. $1,000 and a fish. Let's get the right fish on that sign too.
Councillor Garron, did you have further comment?
Yeah, through the mayor. Yeah, I mean, if the fish in fact is a catfish or whatever it is, maybe maybe $1,000 would probably be what we're looking at covering it. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody knows what the motion is. And I think we should be able to get it done for $1,000. If not, town staff will come back to us. Deputy Mayor Shepley.
But isn't it not a pickerel? Isn't that what it's supposed to be? No, but it's a pickerel is the right term, isn't it? That Canadian term? But I support you.
Okay, does anybody need the motion read back to us? We're looking at the sign going down to the harbor up to $1,000 to honor the home of the professional walleye tournament event winner, Greg Horkey. All in favor? That is carried. 17.2, the following notices of motion are being presented and will be brought forward for council's consideration at the June 5th, 2023 regular council meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Bondi. Through you, that the following motion brought forward by Councillor Meeting, that council direct administration to have a comprehensive safety audit of Colchester Beach and waterfront by Life Saving Society and further develop a safety plan based on the findings from the consultant. And the following notice of motion brought forward by Mayor Bondi, that council direct administration to review options to promote the businesses in Ward 1 during the Essex Streetscape and Victoria Avenue project construction. And the following notice of motion brought forward by Councillor Allard, that council, recognizing that our beach roads are growing with development and improvements, direct administration to review and report on the current level of service for our owned but not assumed roads, and if required, provide low-cost options for raising the level of service of the roads with 2023 council contingency funds and future budgets.
Reports and announcements from members of council. I don't remember where I started last time. Councillor Garron?
Thanks. Through the mayor. Yeah, I want to also publicly echo with what Councillor McGuire Blaze plead to the drivers. I mean, the weather's broke. We have youth sports started, soccer and baseball. We have kids and families walking, cycling on our streets. Please, if you have to go use our streets and get to where you got to get to, take your time and slow down a little bit.
Councillor Hammond?
For everybody to get their derby tickets for the 10th, as they're selling out fast as usual. Great prices as well.
Deputy Mayor Shepley? Councillor Verby? Councillor Allard? Councillor McGuire Blaze?
Thank you through the chair. I just want to remind everybody that our road may be closed in downtown Essex, but our sidewalks and businesses are all open. So please help support our local businesses and restaurants. It's very nice actually walking and shopping down Main Street with no traffic. I also want to let everybody know that the Essex Regional Conservation Foundation is having their 34th annual golf tournament on Thursday, July the 20th at the Kingsville Golf and Country Club. The proceeds raised for this is going to help the John R. Park Homestead renovations. So if anybody is interested in golfing, please go visit the IRCA website and get some information there. Thank you.
Counselor Meady,
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, to echo Councilor McGuire's Blaze, John R. Park Homestead could use your help. Please, even if you don't golf, maybe donate. As you heard from the meeting tonight, there's lots of events happening in Colchester. We're gonna have a great summer as usual. I invite everybody to come out, any one of the events. I'm gonna put on a race team, so I'd like to challenge anybody that wants to race in the soapbox derby, maybe. And also for everybody out there that we understand the trouble that the businesses in Ward 1 are going to be having, and that when Harrow got our streetscape done, even though it was during the pandemic, they had some help, some financial help. The guys in downtown Essex right now aren't getting any. So if we can do anything, if you can get down there and buy a gift, please really think about coming to downtown Essex first. Thanks.
further from our youth council members? Councilman Fine.
Nothing at the moment.
Nothing.
I have nothing tonight. Bylaws 19.1.1, bylaw 2243, by being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the May 1st, 2023 regular council meeting. Need a mover and a seconder. Councilor McGuire Blaze, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor. Bylaws requiring a first and second reading. Bylaw 2187 being a bylaw to confirm meetings of the May 15th regular council meeting of the Corporation of the Town of Essex. Needing a mover for this bylaw. Deputy Mayor Shepley, supported by Councilor Verbeek. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor. And on Monday, June 5th, we have a site-specific zoning amendment for 793 County Road 50 East and 14 Wilson Avenue here at Town Hall, and our regular council meeting to follow. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Councilor Meady, Councilor Hammond, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor. Have a good evening, everybody, and thanks for tuning in.